Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark Deathberry Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Tracker Jacker Cluett. On this show, Mark and I have been through the entire Deep Blue Sea franchise, scene by scene. We now look at some Deep Blue Sea adjacent films. That's films featuring sharks, aquatic action, or directed by Rennie Harlan. Or occasionally, we start a whole new franchise of looking at Deep Blue scenes from films we wouldn't otherwise cover. We've been through the whole Jurassic saga, or there's another one on the way, so expect another addition to the Jurassic World next year. I think it's coming out at some point. We'll see.
From the director of Bullet Train and Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2.
I did not check that. Okay, fair enough. That's an interesting direction. So we'll see how that is. Yeah,
I want to see a T-Rex put something in an arm bar with the arms it has.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see a T-Rex doing it. I want to see a T-Rex juggle. But yeah, like Bullet Train with dinosaurs. I would watch that film, I guess.
Wait, is it a giant train, or is it just a regular train with like dinosaurs that are human-sized that can sit?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say, I think it's got to be a giant train. If it's a regular-sized train, then you're limiting what kind of dinosaurs you have. You're gonna try and get a Triceratops kind of going through the aisle, and it's gonna be really awkward. It's gonna be like up on two legs, or going, excuse me, to everyone. Like, it needs to be big enough to maneuver through. It's just a train full of compies, which, great, but limiting.
You know what? Bullet Train 2 should feature compies killing people, like Deep Blue Sea 2 featured baby Magos, or baby bull sharks.
Every film should feature compies killing people.
And Peter Stormare going, not again!
Yeah. Yes, and he would fit right in a Bullet Train 2 franchise, I guess. But we're not here to talk about the Jurassic franchise.
Wait, before we get going, I have
an
idea, Jay. Every episode, I want to start recommending an indie film that features a lot of water. And so my indie film that I'm going to recommend this week stars Isabel Fuhrman, who is a character in the movie we're talking about today, Hunger Games.
Sure.
And it is called The Novice. It's a 2021 thriller/sports film about a college freshman who joins our university's rowing team and undertakes an obsessive physical and psychological journey to make it to the top varsity boat, no matter the cost. And it is directed by Lauren Hadaway. The sound is incredible. Lauren worked in sound for a lot of huge movies, and it just sounds beautiful. It's a wonderful thriller, and there's lots of water. So The Novice. And it ties in with today because it features Isabel Fuhrman.
Nice. I will not be doing this because I was not prepared for that. But maybe I'll think of one. Who knows? But no, today, so as well as recommending water-based independent films and briefly discussing the Jurassic World franchise, we're actually kicking off a whole new saga of Deep Blue scenes in the Hunger Games franchise. There are 5 of these films. I haven't seen the 5th one yet. Hopefully, by the time we get there,
that's fun.
I'll have seen the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And we'll find, I don't know if there's any aquatic scenes in it. Who
there
knows?
are. One condition, though, we're going to have to sing a third of the episode.
Sure. And a third of it is just going, just making snake noises that may not have been picked up by the mic. I don't know. So today we're talking about the second film in the Jennifer Lawrence Eats a Squirrel mini franchise, kicked off by Winter's Bone.
Winter's Bone.
Yeah. That's my independent film featuring some water, I think. Recommendation: Winter's Bone, a well-deserved Oscar nomination for Jennifer Lawrence, and John Hawkes is great in that too. A thoroughly depressing film, Winter's Bone. But no, the Hunger Games, where we're kicking things off, which is it's a very huge franchise these days. It stars Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, and just an impeccably cast adult team, including the likes of Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Lenny Kravitz, Stanley Tucci, Donald Sutherland, Wes Bentley, Toby Jones, so many people. Paula Malcolm.
Absurdly stacked.
Like, for the first film in a franchise that's like a fairly low budget, less than $80 million.
Yeah.
I mean, not a low budget, but for this kind of film, like, that's huge. That's Harry Potter-esque.
And speaking of John Wick, Chad Stileski, the director of all the John Wick films, was the stunt coordinator on this film. Oh, wow. And he was part of 8711. And Steven Soderbergh shot second unit on this.
I saw that.
Like, I'm sitting here and I'm looking through everything. And watching this movie again, Jay, reminded. So sometimes when I watch a movie and I learn how expensive it was to make, I just don't like it anymore. Because I'm like, this cost $280 million. Like, and this is what we get. when I learned that this cost under 80 million, and they got an $8 million tax break to shoot in North Carolina, but what they do on 80 million is really great. And Gary Ross, much like not John Hughes, Chris Columbus for the Harry Potter films, I feel like they were good first directors to kick off these worlds. And eventually it went to Francis Lawrence. But I really admire what they did on this film for 80 million bucks.
Absolutely. I thought it had cost a lot more when I watched it. It was
Yeah, yeah.
looking through doing research for it that I found out how little it cost. Like, I mean, the first Harry Potter cost 125 million. But I guess that has a bigger adult cast. But then
Mhm.
this maybe sets, and that has more effects shots because like the everything in the second half of that film was an effects shot. But Hunger Games has more of a world to establish because it's not at all set in our world. And if it is,
Mhm.
it's some mass dystopian future. Uh, but they need to establish that and all the different districts, and then the insanity of the capital, and then the Hunger Game. Like, there's so much going on here. But this is the only film in this franchise that you did not work on.
Yeah,
So
only film.
listeners, come back, definitely come back for the future episodes because we're gonna get some behind the scenes gossip. I don't know. We'll
I'll wear
see.
my crew hats for the other episodes.
I look forward to it. But there are some the deep blue scenes or the kind of scenes that are similar to the franchise in this one. I mean, we have Peter by a river looking like a rock. We have some genetically modified animals in here. We have there's a jumping in a lake to escape a fire, that sort of thing. This isn't the most aquatic of the films. The second one is the most aquatic of the films, but
There's some
we're
gross
gonna get
water in the beginning, and there's some good rain work with bread. There's some good bread throwing in the rain.
there. It's so good they show it to you 4 times. Uh,
Just I love a good brain. I love a good bread rain scene.
sure, that's rare. You don't get very many of them these days.
Where are they? Are there other bread scenes that take place in the rain?
Um, ooh,
Can I
see
tell you
that?
what one of my while you're thinking, I'm gonna tell the audience and you one of my cinematic pet peeves.
Okay.
It's in movies like this when people are really hungry and they just like tear into a piece of bread. I
So
don't know why, but they just start dipping it really quick and then they just level it. Like I've never liked hungry bread eating on film.
it's never bothered me, if I'm honest. It's not something I've ever thought about. I also cannot think of a single other bread scene featuring rain in a film. I'm sure they must exist. Like there's a British TV show called Bread from like the 80s that I never watched, but it must have rained at some point in that show. That's not about bread. That's about like lower class family trying to get by, basically. Um,
Like in Moonstruck, he makes bread, right? Does it rain on
it's
him?
been a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen Moonstruck. Initially, I thought you said Moonlight, and I couldn't think of a bread scene. There's a chicken wing scene in Moonlight, but not a bread scene.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rain. Is there a lot of rain in Moonlight?
They're in the river, the sea, at one point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If they had bread, then it would be wet bread. But
Ocean bread's terrible.
I mean, not recommended. Definitely, if your bread goes in the ocean, it's done.
Like
Like,
if
just
you're
throw
like
it
on the
away.
Atlantic, Jay, and you get on a raft and you just bust out like a whole like baguette, like that's bold.
Yeah, and definitely do not make that raft out of bread. It won't work. It won't last
Hey,
long.
you have a
It's
soggy
not going to
bottom.
happen. Yeah, indeed. Like, because you tie the logs together. Don't tie baguettes together. It's not a suitable substance for making a raft.
Have you seen the movie Piranha, the original Joe Dante movie?
Not yet. It's on the list. We're going to get to it soon, hopefully.
They make a raft out of wooden logs. Like if there was a raft out of bread, those piranhas would just
Yeah,
destroy it. You don't
absolutely.
even need piranhas.
That's a human open sandwich at that point for them. Like, pre-salted.
Like
Well, I
turtles
guess
would
fresh
come up.
water.
Stop, turtles! This bread isn't for you.
Well,
Ducks, like this. Every aquatic species is like, oh, this is lovely.
this is
And you're
great.
like,
Thank you for
stop.
this.
Yeah. Normally we just get like a couple loaves. This is like an entire boat of bread.
This is going to last us all day.
You become like a folk hero of the river. Remember
Uh,
that
so,
time?
so bread eating ravenous bread eating is something you don't enjoy in films. Something I don't enjoy in the Hunger Games film. This is my main problem with. Okay, I have two big problems with this franchise. One of them doesn't really pay off until the last one, so we'll save it for then. And it's a problem I have discussed in our Driven episode, so go back and work that out if you like. But I'm on board with this world. I'm on board with the game. I'm not in favor of it, but like the whole premise, and everything, it kind of works. The point where this is the genetically modified animals, the tracker jackers, great, love them. The hologram dogs that appear out of the earth and are then real, that takes me out of the whole thing. Because that's magic at that point. I'm on board with the technology they've shown us. I can work it. It makes sense. When you just have somebody up in the control room saying, like, "Oh, hey, here's this wolf mutt thing I've designed," and then they just kind of emerge and form from nothing, but they're still able to kill people. I can't. It only makes sense if the whole thing is virtual reality at that point. If everyone's wearing a headset in a little green room, and when they're stabbed, somebody just kills them, just shoots them, and drags the body away. That's the only way it can make sense to me in my head. It's the whole thing's a VR dome.
I just like, so I know it's different from in the book, but I like pretending that. Remember in Gladiator when the lions were just jumping out of the holes during the fight with Maximus?
Sure, yeah.
So I like thinking maybe there's underground tunnels, and they like, oh, they're in the section with the vampire teeth wombats. Unleash them. Or they're in the section with the genetically modified sea bass. Unleash them.
I could get behind that if there wasn't a scene of like, look what I designed, and Seneca going like, that's good. I like that.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Like this is something that's been brought to him on the during the game. This is like an annual event. They've had at least a year to at this point. There's probably already people working on next year's game. During this game, they're already working on the next game.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh hey, I designed a pig dog. Here you go. Like that should have been approved. There should have been meetings. More teeth, more legs, fewer legs, a tail. Like these are things that should have been discussed, not just like, oh, this thing. I don't know. And then they just kind of click their fingers and one appears, and then they do like two and over here. And they do kind of establish this when the fire happens, and Seneca's like, drop me a tree, and they're like, hologram tree and tree. That I can in my head is like, okay, there's already trees. These trees are on fire. Maybe some of them are hinged. Maybe they just like, okay, click it, it'll blow the hinges. That one falls down. It's like that, fine. That I'll allow. But the dogs spawning in a video game that no one's playing, I just takes me out of the whole franchise.
You know what's funny? The fact that you say that, you know what took me out of this movie was Wes Bentley's beard.
Yeah, which he apparently took out in public.
Yeah,
he went to Walmart with that beard on his face.
Like, I know the people in the Capitol go to extremes, but that beard pulled me out of the movie every time. I just looked at it and felt uncomfortable. Like, I like Wes Bentley, but I'm like, ugh. Like, that's a bold, like when you're sitting there going, that's a bold choice, and you're not listening to any of the dialogue. I don't know if you had that reaction to his beard.
I mean, it's a statement piece, definitely. But it helps to show like this is what we're up against. This is the Capitol. In the districts, every second of everyone's life is just trying to find food, like go out and kill food. And in the Capitol, they can spend 90 minutes every morning manicuring their face. Like, just they have time to it's everything about Effie Trinket. Like her whole look, her whole everything. It just shows she is like this front-facing, on camera figure, so every aspect of her needs to look spotless.
I had to work on the shoots too, getting those Capitol people ready. That's not fun. That's a lot of work.
I saw some of that there were like 90 hairdressers in the credits or something ridiculous, some insane figure.
So like you just have trailers of, you get them into wardrobe, and then you get the wardrobe on them, and then you take them into hair and makeup, and it's like a conveyor belt of just next, and then they're plopping their hair up. It takes forever.
I can imagine. Yeah, it doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go hide in storage containers, and you're like, why are you here? Like, why are you in this storage? Sorry, that's the fourth film. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
we'll get
mean,
there. We'll get there.
and also I just want to bring up 2012 too, right? This movie pulled in $694 million. In 2012, over let's see, 39 movies cleared 200 million, which is kind of crazy. Like, if you think about it, like Dark Shadows made 246 million, We're the Millers made 270 million, John Carter 284, Battleship 303, Wrath of the Titans 304, Expendables 2 314, Journey to the Mysterious Island 335 million, Taken 2 376 million, Snow White and the Huntsman 398 million, Les Miserables 442 million, Ted made 549 million, Life of Pi made 609 million. Like, this was a big year. Like,
Yeah.
this is a different world. And it was like 12 years. This is a different world of box office than we'll probably ever have. These movies making that much money.
Bear in mind, this is the year of the first Avengers film that made
Yeah.
$1.5 billion.
Skyfall made a bill.
It did, yeah.
Like, it's just a gnarly year.
Like, you had the Dark Knight Rises that year, the first Hobbit film. There was Twilight had the last Twilight film come out that year. There was a Spider-Man. You had like Madagascar 3.
Huge.
There's some massive films.
Looper made 176 million. The Dictator made 179. The Mirror made 183. The Vow made 196 million. Like, it's Flight made 164. Magic Mike 167. Like, this isn't going to happen again. So it was kind of crazy looking through these years in their box office.
Yeah, like this is, and so The Hunger Games was the 9th highest grossing film of that year, like worldwide.
What a year!
Yeah. It and then they made 3 more. Who would have guessed? 'Cause it was incredibly profitable. But then compare that to what was it? Insurgent. What was the first one of that? Divergent. From just a few years later, which I think did not do as well.
Barf. Yeah. Wait, American Reunion made 235 million.
And you were in that.
Yeah. Hey, this was a good year for me. I worked on some big ones.
So yeah, Divergent cost 85 million, made just under 300.
What? Wow.
Yeah, that's as much as I'm not on board with the first Hunger Games film. I really hate the Divergent films. I've seen the first 2 because Kate Winslet is in them, and I did a little project on my site to watch everything Kate Winslet was in, and she's not in the third one, so I did not watch the third one, and I was so happy that, spoiler alert, she died at the end of the second one. So that franchise is bananas.
I feel like that franchise imprisoned some really good actors for a long time, like Shailene Woodley, Miles Teller. There's some really big, like Zoe Kravitz. They were all stuck in. I know they all got paid. A lot of people in Atlanta. They shot in Atlanta. A lot of people got paid to work on it, but geez Louise, that took forever.
Yeah, it doesn't make any kind of sense, that world. Like, everyone's in one specific category, and none of these categories are cleaning anything up that anyone does. So it's like there's no one in this world cleans, no one in this world builds. Everyone just like abnegation. What do they do? They don't look in the mirror. That's the personality trait. They're selfless.
Oh man, you know what's an underrated YA franchise is the Maze Runner franchise.
I haven't seen any of those.
Watch the first one. It was like $30 million budget, $35 million budget. Dude from FSU directed it. He's doing a new Planet of the Apes movie. And it's just economical, and it has Will Poulter, another
Scott Lario,
the drummer, Crawl, Dylan O'Brien, who's great in Love and Monsters, like really good cast. It's a good movie. Watch it.
Okay, I will.
Want to talk water scenes from Hunger Games?
Sure. Yes, we probably should. So yeah, the one I remembered the most was when Katniss is looking for Peter at some point, and she's like following his trail of blood, and then she's like, "Oh, where is he?" And then this hand just grabs her, and he's disguised himself to look like the riverbank using skills he learned decorating cakes in a bakery in District 12. I'm gonna guess a district not huge on making cakes because it's like a mining district. Mm-hmm. But maybe the capital gets some cakes from them. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody there be like, I need the most elaborately designed cakes in the world, please. Like lifelike, photorealistic, is it cake kind of level. And Peter is not cake. He just looked. But I guess on the Is It Cake show, he would he's disguised himself to look like something else, so he is cake. Would that be how this is? Is it
You could
Peter?
eat him. You could definitely eat him and consider it cake.
I mean, holographic dogs try to
Yeah.
in this film. So, what do you make
I
of this
mean,
scene?
maybe their rain bread is famous.
Yeah, Peter's famous rain bread. Yeah,
I mean, pita. It's good
yeah,
bread.
he's called Pete and he works in a bakery. How long did that take Suzanne Collins to do? And how is Peter spelled? You'll never guess.
But you know what makes this movie is the North Carolina settings. Like they shot out in the woods. I watched a behind the scenes documentary about this, and it's like they're on the water, they're on the rivers, and it's really refreshing. I know the later movies definitely lean more towards the studio shoots and green screen, but I really like. I just felt the location. I don't know if you did it. Like I think having the water there, that you could. This is one of the rare movies where you're like they're in the woods. Like I
Yeah,
feel like they are in the woods.
I don't know much about North Carolina as a setting. I didn't know that's where it was. This was this film, but it did feel like yeah, they're this isn't a set. They haven't built woods. They're in the woods. They're jumping into some water right now. Like it's probably not real fire. It might be real fire. I don't know. But it's out in the wild.
I love North Carolina. Like I go to Asheville. They Biltmore's there. I love the Biltmore. They there's a grandfather mountain that I've hiked before that I think is gorgeous. There's a place called Chimney Rock. That's an amazing hike. My brother and I recreated scenes from like Last of the Mohicans when we were younger there. Like it's
Of course.
great. I love hiking and like whitewater rafting in North Carolina is beautiful. Like like probably whitewater rafting is like one of my favorite things on the planet. And so just like the rapids out in Carolina are pretty good. Like up like in the northern Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, some sweet rapids. Like the Chattooga, that's like where the Deliverance was filmed.
Oh
Like
yeah.
northern Georgia. That's like
I
my favorite rapids.
I was recommending Deliverance to a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, I think I've seen that. That's got like Seth Green and Matthew Lillard in it. I was like, no, that's Without a Paddle, you fool. This is like a different. This is a different film. He's like, no, I don't think it is. I think it's the same film. I was like, no. Oh dear.
Oh man. That's they're gonna be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he's gonna watch it.
But so like
I
that
explained what happens to like Ned Beatty, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna watch the film. Like, yeah, fair enough. Okay.
I mean there are bow and arrows.
I mean, it is a film we could cover on this show because it is entirely water based.
I mean,
Also,
I've been
it's
on the
no
Chattooga River
fun.
a lot. I love it. And you know what's nice? This is the first time that I've ever, since 2012, that I've watched this movie for fun. Because Rotten Tomatoes, I had to go through all of these movies and pull all of Katniss's arrow stats for an article for them. And then for fandom, I had to do who's the best movie archer. So I had to rewatch the franchise and pull all of her archery stats.
Sure.
So this time I just got to hang out and watch it. And it was nice. I didn't have to be like pause it and be like, did she hit? Should I count that as a hit? She hits the bag of fruit the first time, but she doesn't take it out. So I guess that's a miss.
Yeah,
It's like I didn't
and
have
when
to think like that.
she's showing off her skills, she like misses the first time, but
Yep,
then she gets the apple
that's a hit.
if that's what she was aiming for.
You know, when
Uh,
she wipes out Jack Quaid, that's a brutal scene for a
man,
PG-13 movie.
always forget that's Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I know a child is murdered shortly before that, but the way that she
several.
just she just kills him though. Like she just takes an arrow plop and he's dead. Like it's very
Matter of
brutal.
fact, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just yeah. Like, I mean, let's be fair. This is a film about killing kids.
true.
As what this whole thing is built on, and I I like just how much setup there is, how much training,
An
publicity, the
hour.
marketing, and everything, and then literally more than half of the kids are wiped out immediately. Um, like
You know, I was
like
thinking that
13 of the 24 kids die straight away.
just run away. And and then it becomes like Katniss taking cat naps for about
Mm.
20 minutes.
Yeah, she's literally passed out for 2 days. This is a TV show.
She
That's
does
the
a lot of
best.
cat napping. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Should we count Katniss's tears as water moments after characters
Uh,
die?
I mean, sure. Well, I mean, that's not very Deep Blue Sea adjacent because there's not a lot of death mourning in the franchise. There's not a lot of like, oh no. All we have, like the most we have is this is for Skogs is like
Mhm.
the most mourning that we get. um,
Yeah, there's really no
beyond that, it's
tears.
like Janice was a healthy girl. It's like okay, like
Oh man,
this
Scoggins.
isn't mourning.
And then what do you think about the river scene? She jumps into the river and is hanging out, and then
I
they
mean,
just see her in the river.
yeah, it works. It's a pretty quick sequence. I mean, in terms of the water, it's more getting away from the fire. and jumps into it, and then she's immediately seen. But again, it's very much this is out in the wild. This is Jennifer Lawrence jumping into an actual river, or a stunt double jumping into an actual river. Yeah, so my
She's
wife
in it.
Yeah, my wife loves these films. She's had to watch some awful films from her perspective for this show. So like recently she's had to sit through The Deep and House Shark. She joined me for.
Oh,
and so this past weekend I was like, gotta watch another really awful film for the franchise. I'm sorry for the podcast. I'm sorry. And I just put on the Hunger Games and didn't tell her that's what we were going to watch, and she was delighted. And I was like, "Yeah, we're doing the whole franchise." She was like, "Yes, finally, good things." I was like, "Yeah, next
Jennifer
week,
Lawrence is
5 days of
perfect
war."
Isn't she perfect though? Like she's
Yeah.
really good. The physicality, the just the I was watching the behind the scenes stuff. She put the work in too with the arrow. She's like blasting that stuff.
She put the
Hemsworth
work
doesn't really
in.
leave a mark. I like PETA.
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence put the work in with her offhand. She's left-handed and had to learn to shoot an arrow with her right hand. So,
Beast.
Which Kenneth can be left-handed, surely. It's how like I don't think that's that important to the character which hand she fights with, but apparently it was. But yeah, Hemsworth doesn't get a lot to do in this one. He's just kind of a solid presence back home. He gets more to do in the later ones, and I've never liked Josh Hutcherson in these films. Yeah, but I think you're not supposed to. I think Peter's supposed to be a bit of a pathetic guy that you're never quite sure about, in my opinion. So I think
quite
he does
squirrely.
that well.
Yeah,
because he's like playing the game, not the Hunger Game. He's playing like the media game. Like so he's supposed to come off as being fake, and that just never sat well with me. But I think that's intentional. So
he was
no
trying to
offense
sell the
him.
PETA's rain bread. Like you got to push PETA's rain bread when you're at the Capitol.
Yeah. And I think there was a few years ago there was kind of a Jennifer Lawrence backlash because she just seemed to be in everything all the time, and so she took a little break. I think I was okay with her taking a little break because I think I was part of that. I don't need you to be in everything. She wasn't in everything, but she just seemed she was in the media cycle a lot.
Like 4 Oscar nominations, big movies, like just
right.
Like she had year-round coverage almost.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming her for the media taking pictures of her all the time and then being blasted over her all the time. That's not her fault. But I was okay to take a little break from her. But I think she is very good in this franchise, and like this is a difficult character to play because she's supposed to be a little off-putting. She's supposed to be someone who's not like media savvy, and so you're supposed to watch her and think, I'm not exactly on board with this character because she is awkward in front of the camera. She is like standoffish and a little grumpy and gonna shoot at people that are judging her. Like, but then this whole world is such a terrible world to live in.
Her life is horrifying. Like, so of course she's tough, right? Like, she has to hunt, she has to live a hard life, and so, like, she's tough. She's tough as nails.
Like
also, too. Oh, so go for it.
The scene where she volunteers as tribute is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
like her little sister, first time in.
Like, anytime a character does that, though, you're on board with them.
Yeah.
Like, just
it's the
you realize, like you're like, okay, this is cool. And like she's not fake either. Like PETA's cheesing it up for the camera, but I mean he's talking to the Tooch. Like if you're talking to Tooch, you gotta go, hey, I'm talking to the Tooch.
Blue head Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the physical. I like the matter of factness. I think she, she was born in Kentucky. I think she like Winter's Bone. I think she gets that kind of area. You can see her in the woods and be like, yeah, she works in the woods.
Yeah.
And I want to say, her comeback role, Causeway, that's on Apple Plus.
Yep, excellent.
She cleans pools. She's really good in it.
She is, yes, she is. And then No Hard Feelings, also really good in that. We've talked about that.
She's so good. She's hilarious, man. Like that bit when they're like, "What's your name? Laird? What? Like the lasagna?
Like lasagna? Yeah.
No,
like the name
Laird.
Yeah.
It's the funniest line. It's like the best. If I wrote that, I'd retire.
I just need Matthew Broderick to say no, not like a lasagna.
No,
like a name.
Laird. And also, like the DP on this movie, right? He's Tom Stern, which is Clint Eastwood's guy. Like he worked on Mystic River. Like he did Letters from Iwo Jima. He flags for our fathers. Like he ended up shooting the Meg, which is fun, just to
Sure.
let you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And he did the Last Voyage of the Demeter, another wonderful boat movie that I adore, and I
I
think many people slept on.
I look forward to covering it if it ever gets a UK release.
Oh
That
man, Jay, it's good. Like people are
I
hating on
want to
it.
see it, Mog. I want to see it, but it came out in America. People were like, nah, and then it didn't get released anywhere else in the world. It's just like let's just brush that one under the carpet. Just forget that film ever came out. I was like, no, I want to see it. God damn it! I do a podcast on these kinds of things.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Like people are like, it's boring, but I'm like, no, it's like I really enjoyed it, but also I heard everyone hate on it, and that doesn't really affect me because I can make up my own opinion. But when I watched it, I'm like, what are people talking about? I feel like people went into it going like, this is dumb, but I dug it. I liked it a lot. Also, a bird almost dies in this chapter, which is Deep Blue Sea, close, adjacent. She almost shoots one with an arrow,
Oh yeah, sure, yes.
and sure, her arrows are steel, and they shoot the like crossbow thing into
So
the
it's
shark.
like a harpoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
harpoon.
especially if it has a little harpoon, basically. Yeah, sure. And
She tied a rope
she
to
has
it.
a rope. Yeah, so there we go. I at one
Like,
point there, like treating an arm wound or something happens in here at some point.
yeah, and
Which
like
happens in
leg wounds too. LL Cool J's leg gets bit, and there's two
yeah.
leg. This movie's heavy on leg wounds.
Yes, absolutely. Uh,
Also, you know what's interesting? The what was her name? Isabel. Yeah, I got her name coming up. It's coming up quick here. Isabel Furman. She also had some good water work in Orphan.
I didn't see Orphan.
I don't want to spoil it,
Okay.
but since this chapter's so little on water, I figured we should talk about our favorite water scenes in North Carolina movies.
Okay, sure.
Do you want to hear my list?
I would love to.
Okay, Muppets in Space.
Uh, Please remind me of the water scenes in Muppets in Space.
So in Muppets in Space, Gonzo's sleeping, and Pepe is next to him going, "Build a jacuzzi. We will come. Build a jacuzzi." And he's in a fan going, "Build a jacuzzi. We will come." And the next scene, there's a jacuzzi and everyone's partying in it. And Pepe's like, "Ha ha! Just living the life because Gonzo built a jacuzzi because they tricked him into thinking that aliens would come if he built a jacuzzi."
Nice, nice.
It's very funny.
I've only seen that's like the Muppet film I've seen the least. It's
Build
been
a
a while.
jacuzzi. We will come. And then we have Tusk, the walrus fight, which is interesting. And also Last of the Mohicans. They built a set for Under the Waterfall, but a couple miles south, west of Lake Julia, are Bridal Veil Falls, and that's behind these falls. That temporary shelter is offered by a hidden cave. So they didn't go. There is no hidden cave. They built a set, but they did film the falls, which was awesome. And also Chimney Rock. My brother and I found the scene where what Uncas hides and then hits the dude in the face. Like we reenacted that. It was amazing. Being there, one of my all-time favorite films. They filmed on the Biltmore Estate. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I showed it to my students the other day, and we had an awesome conversation about it. Manhunter. If you went to Mansonboro Island, North Carolina, that's where the Florida Beach House is of Will Graham, where one of the greatest shots ever by Michael Mann took place. I have two Michael Mann movies. All right. Then I have Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
The puddle scene. It's just a puddle.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love a good puddle. All the Real Girls. You know, I had to bring up David Gordon Green. He's a North Carolina boy. A lot of movies there. But yeah, they're at the end, the river is there, and like he's talking to his dog. And it's just a nice river shot. I have Cabin Fever. You know, he falls in that gross lake. Yeah. But like, so this lake's contaminated with a dead body, and these kids get water from it, from their lemonade stand, and it's contaminated, and they drink it, and then they like bring glasses of lemonade to the store, and then people start drinking it, so it's just dirty, contaminated water.
Okay.
Which is pretty gross, but it's good water. And then I also added like Dirty Dancing, I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Abyss. Some of it was filmed there. All the Nicholas Sparks movies are, and they're all close to the beach. Weekend at Bernie's.
Sure.
On the beach there, and then Trick or Treat. There's some good water monsters in that.
I mean, you listed a bunch of films I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen Being There still. You've been recommending it to me for years, and I've had it on DVD for longer than I've known you, and I've never seen it. I put it on a list. Like, I'm going to watch this film this year several times, and I have yet to do that.
Is it on the 1001 list?
It is. I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
This doesn't mean I've seen it. Um, I haven't seen Last of the Mohicans.
Ooh,
I
great score.
I film I also have on DVD, but yeah. I haven't seen Cabin Fever. I have seen Manhunter. I have seen Evil Dead 2. I just kind of scrolling on Wikipedia for films shot in North Carolina because it's not a list I have close to my brain. Piranha 3 Double D, a terrible film that we will one day cover on this show, uh, has must have a good scene in it. I'm sure nothing comes to mind, but that's one. We have an upcoming episode in. Let me just check the schedule. Where are we? In 3 weeks' time. You're not going to be on it, but Jeanette was going to join me to talk about Virus, which was shot in North Carolina, also featuring Donald Sutherland. And spoiler alert for that show. I loved that film. I'd never heard of it before, and it's great. Everyone check out Virus 1999. It's got it's mostly set on a boat in the middle of the water, and hilarity ensues from some space fun times on that. Yeah, it's Donald Sutherland like you've never seen him before. Uh, I
Donald
love Donald
Sutherland. I was thinking about Water Sutherland, and he, Don't Look Now's in Venice. That's a lot of water.
I haven't seen Don't Look Now.
And then also in Beer Fest, he does some wonderful beer.
I have seen Beer Fest. Oh God!
Like Donald Sutherland does some very good beer drinking.
I feel like a
movie.
terrible person that I've seen Beer Fest at least twice, but I haven't seen Being There or Don't Look Now.
So I just typed in Donald Sutherland water. Don't look. Oh man, Don't Look Now is hot. Oh, that's big water. Yeah.
Should we cover that on the show? It'll make me watch it.
Don't Look Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Deep Blue Sea adjacent enough? Should we watch that this October? Be our Halloween film?
There we go. It's just in water.
Sure.
Why not?
I'm putting it on the schedule.
Donnie Southey, he was in a movie called Bear Island, I guess. There
we go. Our episode coming out on the 30th of October will be on Don't Look Now. It's on the schedule.
Damn. I like it. And now you can watch it.
I will. Perfect. Finally.
I have 2 Criterion Blu-ray copies of it for some reason.
I have 1 DVD.
What's crazy?
I refuse to watch. I have so many DVDs that I've been meaning to watch for so long and haven't. And just for no reason, just haven't.
I have multiple copies of Sylvester Stallone movies. I have 2 Over the Top, 2 Cliffhanger, I think 2 Demolition Man. I have a lot of copies of Stallone movies just kicking around.
I just have 1 of most of them. I should have 2 copies of Daylight, but I just have the 1. Which again, we'll cover it one day.
Yeah. But hey, what? Any other water bits?
Well, the genetically engineered animals feels like Deep Blue Sea adjacent, and so there's the tracker jacker wasps, which I do.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, that's mean, and if imagine the sharks if they bit you started to hallucinate, just a whole nother level of nightmare.
Oh come on!
There's 2.
Man. I got bit last time. I got stung by a bee. My hand swelled up to the size of a medical glove. That like when you take like a latex glove and you blow it up and it looks like a balloon. That's what my hand looked like.
Yeah.
So I'm allergic to bees.
I have been stung 1 time. Never been stung by a wasp. But I was stung by a bee when I was young. When I was in a paddling pool in the back garden in summer wearing Wellington boots, like those big rubber shoes. I don't know why it's summer. It's like a time you're supposed to be splashing around in the water. Well, I was like, no, giant protective boots between me and the water, thank you. And a bee went into the boot and stung me in my leg.
Oh, that's horrible.
The only time. But so I'm kind of okay with these kind of things. I was having a haircut once, and a wasp started flying around my head. I was having a haircut, and the barber freaked out and ran away. And I was just I just kind of sat there, well, I can't go anywhere. I'm just going to be still. And the wasp went away, so I'm okay with these things.
Listen, they're chill. They're not just I'm gonna get that guy. They're doing their own thing.
Don't attack them, and you'll be fine.
I don't know why I got stung though. I was just golfing. Well, I couldn't even finish the course because my hand looked it's horrifying.
You had a handicap. This is my handicap. I'm allergic to bees.
It was bad. It was. I showed it to people and they went, "Whoa!" It wasn't.
High five.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't one of those things where people were like, "Oh, it's not that bad." They went, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah, that lady's face gets all swole up and she dies, and then watching Katniss get stung, and she has to cut the branch. I was like, why don't you hit it with an arrow? But it's attached to the branch. So that
Yeah.
was smart the way they did that.
So yeah, she's got that kind of saw knife that's
Hmm.
useful. Yeah, that's the only kind of last one I had was that. Like, and they use water in District 11 when there's a riot. They use water cannons to kind of quell the riot. But
Yeah,
that's about it, right?
down too.
Sir, water on the screen. Write it down.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it too much though because it's very brief. Um, I don't know. It's very brief. The water cannons.
Yeah. It was literally that. The GIF of DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he just kind of points at the screen. That was me, like water.
Yeah, I have runs in water, chills in water. She pours water on her leg injury.
Yep.
There's gross water cleaning. Oh, when they go into the capital, there's dams and lakes and waterfalls, and there's some nice morning shots of lakes, which I like. I have rain bread. She has a thermos of empty water. I have Kill Blondie.
Hang on. A thermos of empty water, or just an empty thermos?
An empty thermos. Water hoses blow people away.
That's a thermos of empty anything. That's a thermos of empty blood. There's a thermos of empty vodka because there's nothing in it.
I call the bakery one time a bread store.
You did,
That's just
yes.
where. But also these are my notes: Peta Lane next to rocks, leg injuries, river cave, soup.
Yep.
There's good soup. There's water and
Sure.
soup. Walking through water, shots of lakes, kill a bird, death berries, genetic scientists. Peta got lucky. 78. Yeah, I just put 78 million, and a lot of turkeys would invade the set when they were shooting.
Sure. Okay. Harrelson's always drinking. I guess.
Yeah, well, like there's wine all everywhere and water and like everyone's boozing.
Yeah,
So I mean there's water in that. People drink in Deep Blue Sea.
they do. This is true. Preacher is knocking back that bottle. Yeah, but there are more aquatic scenes in the second one because that's like a whole aquatic arena. So we'll have more to talk about in that one. But we
They have
to kick
aquatic
off the
suits.
franchise. They do. Yes, the whole thing is aquatic suits and watching someone get killed as you go up an elevator. Yeah, so that'll be the next one that we talk about. But I don't think I have anything more for the first Hunger Games.
We get water monsters in the fourth or third one. Fourth one.
I don't remember much of the third one, so I'm looking forward to that one. But the fourth one, I know there's like that big oil scene, and then the water monsters. That's got some good stuff. And the third one, I think she's by a river at some point. Is what I can remember. Like
they're
does
like
a
in the
speech.
wasteland for most of it.
They have like a little debrief by a river or something.
So
we'll find out. We'll find some stuff.
that'll be a fun app.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find things to talk about. We always do.
Yeah. I mean, look at this episode. Yeah.
Like when I was like, Donald Sutherland looks like the lion from Sing 2. It's something I wrote down because it's just a white mane, and yeah, he does more things in the other films that we'll talk about because Donald Sutherland, an actor I haven't seen many of his roles, but the ones I've seen, I think he's great, and I need to track down more of his stuff.
Okay, real quick. You are in the Hunger Games. You're in the rooms. What background would you pick for your room? Because Katniss picks the woods. If you could pick any background, because she picked all the backgrounds and it was the woods.
Yep.
Which background would you pick?
I wouldn't pick the one of just random people standing on the street. That one felt really weird. And if there was like just an underwater one, that could be quite cool. Just like I'm in a big fish tank. I think I'd go with that. That could be cool.
Whoa. Yeah, giant.
I mean, it's kind of route one for this podcast, but it works. That or not. I wouldn't go for woods. Maybe jungle. Jungle would be quite cool. Or no, it would definitely have to have water in it. So maybe like by a waterfall or at the beach. Just have that sound of the waves crashing. I think I'd go with that.
Yeah, you would need a air machine making noise. Yeah. I would do a fish. I mean, I bought Finding Nemo, the DVD, for the fish tank extras.
Sure. Yeah, it's best. It's great.
I bought a Blu-ray of a fish tank. I had a fish tank for many years. I need another fish tank. It would be a fish tank.
What are the backgrounds like if there's one that's just like fire?
People just screaming.
Like, you're at a volcano. It's just lava pouring everywhere.
Peter making rain bread.
Yeah, that's it. His background is just in a bakery. Do you reckon it like pump the smells like the freshly baked bread? That'll be great. Like, yeah.
Oh man, the fish tank it would
Always
smell
hungry.
gross,
Oh, it's stagnant. Oh, change
but it's
it
so
now.
beautiful. Like, look at these clownfish.
But they stink so bad.
Someone clean this tank, and then like a thing dips into the imaginary tank, and you're like, what is happening?
Oh no, I'm being taken out. This is what I wanted.
Wait, you get sucked out of your room.
It's another VR experience where
This
you're
is going too far.
I didn't sign up for this. I take back my volunteering. I'm not tribute anymore. Prim, it's down to you again. I couldn't take it. Don't pick the aquatic background.
Go for the bakery. The rain bread sounds wonderful.
I think that'll do it for this episode. So next week is the Oscars in the real world, not when we're recording this, but next week is the Oscars. So we're kicking off a new annual franchise of talking about a Best Picture winning Deep Blue Sea adjacent film. We're kicking it off with Mutiny on the Bounty from 1935 with Howard Kasner as the guest from the Pop Art podcast. So come back next week for another black and white film that never goes underwater. To find out how deep and blue it is.
Lifeboat, huh?
Yep, another lifeboat, The Lighthouse. How many more black and white films will we find that we can cover on this show?
These farts.
Oh, The Lighthouse. But yeah, that's the notes I have. Find everything I've got over at lifeversusfilm.com. Follow this podcast at Deep Blue Sea Pod on all social media. Mark, any plugs?
Some movies, films, and flicks.
Right.
And then you know where to find me.
And yeah, next week is Mutiny on the Bounty. For the Hunger Games, I've been Jake Lewis.
And I'm Mark Deathberries Hoffmeyer.
And we'll Deep Blue see you next week.